Recently, Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce sparked an interesting discussion about the evolution of skill sets in the modern NBA. The Celtics legends expressed their thoughts on how the rise of the three-point shot nearly wiped out the mid-range game and traditional post-up plays we all grew up appreciating.
I didn't see
it's hard to say more skill.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Nobody in this era has a mid-range.
You couldn't get nobody.
Nobody in this era has a post game.
And the ones that do look amazing. Look at Shea. Shea got a mid-range.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's only like a few of them got.
That's what I'm saying,
For over a decade, teams have been obsessed with building rosters full of shooters, even pressuring their big men to stretch the floor and hit threes consistently. But here's the twist. In the last couple of years, we've started to witness a comeback, a revival of that high-percentage, old-school basketball. Dominant bigs are reclaiming their presence in the paint with more versatile skills, while elite mid-range shooters are proving that these once-overlooked elements of the game still have a place. Could this be the dawn of a new era, or is the NBA simply circling back to its roots? Before we get into the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching one of the best new basketball channels on YouTube, Swish Archives. It's impossible to discuss recent NBA history without mentioning Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors. Since 2015, they didn't just build a dynasty, they redefined the game. Their unmatched three-point shooting, off-ball mastery, and team-oriented mindset shook the league's foundation. But what made their success even more impressive was that they thrived without relying on a traditional big man, forcing teams to rethink their entire approach to the game. The Warriors' revolution wasn't just about racking up wins. It was about transforming offensive strategies across the league. Teams began to emulate their play style, placing heavy emphasis on the three-point shot. Traditional post play and mid-range jumpers, once considered staples of the game, were suddenly being replaced by a new school of thought: shoot threes and attack the rim. Over the past decade, the average three-point attempts per game skyrocketed from 22.4 in 2014 to over 35 per game last season. Interestingly, the increase was most dramatic in the first 5 years of this shift, illustrating how quickly teams adopted to the three-point philosophy. However, despite the rising volume of attempts, the league-wide shooting accuracy from beyond the arc has remained relatively steady. Last season, the league hit 36.6% from deep, just shy of the 2020-2021 mark, which stands as the highest in the past decade. Analytics have played a key role in this move. When players go for two-point shots, they're encouraged to take the highest percentage attempts, like dunks, layups, or close-range finishes. But if they're taking a shot farther from the basket, where accuracy naturally drops, it makes more sense to aim for a three-pointer to maximize value with the extra point rather than settle for a mid-range shot. Even big men had to adapt to stay relevant. What used to be occasional mid-range jumpers for them gradually evolved to three-point shots. Players like Brook Lopez of the Milwaukee Bucks and Al Horford from the Boston Celtics transitioned from traditional post-heavy roles to floor-spacing shooters. Kevin Love, once rooted in post play, recognized this change and adapted accordingly. But one player who's taken it even further is Karl Anthony Towns, making the three-point shot a major part of his offensive arsenal. Towns consistently shoots close to 40% from deep, and with his high shot value, you might mistake his stat line for that of a perimeter player. Meanwhile, traditional bigs who couldn't develop their outside game were left behind, and teams without reliable shooters scrambled to acquire them, as three-point proficiency became a competitive necessity. Still, not every team found the same magic the Warriors did. With Curry and Klay Thompson, two of the greatest shooters ever, leading the way, the Warriors hit over 38% of their threes at their peak, even flirting with 42% accuracy in 2015-16. So, matching that level of precision has been nearly impossible for others. Here's the thing. The NBA hasn't always been about shooting from deep. The game used to prioritize high percentage shots, specifically those taken in the paint or from mid-range. Hall of Famers like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant carved out some of the greatest legacies in NBA history with the mid-range jumpers as their go-to move. Dominant big men like Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Wilt Chamberlain controlled the paint. punishing defenses with their size and footwork. They succeeded the most because the game valued scoring in close, where shooting percentages were highest. Fast forward to today, and while three-point shooting still reigns supreme, a handful of elite players are bringing the mid-range game back to life. Stars like Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, SGA, Kevin Durant are often praised for mastering this lost art.
Under half time, the shot clock is off. Mark Daignault not using a timeout. SGA probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down.
SGA stands out for his exceptional ability to hit pull-up jumpers and driving shots from the mid-range, making it a key part of his offensive game. The MVP runner-up averaged 30.1 points per game last season, with a remarkable 53.5% field goal percentage and a 63.6% true shooting percentage. These numbers showcase his scoring efficiency across the court, particularly from mid-range. Even in his 17th season, Kevin Durant remains one of the game's deadliest mid-range shooters. Last season, he averaged 27.1 points per game while shooting 54% from mid-range. Durant emphasizes that players typically shine in the areas they invest the most effort into, noting that mastering the mid-range game requires dedicated practice. His experience allows him to recognize when a shot feels particularly good on any given night. Or, as he puts it, if my midi working, then that's where I'm going for dinner. DeMar DeRozan has long been the poster boy for modern mid-range excellence. In an NBA landscape dominated by layups and three-pointers, DeRozan remains committed to the in-between game. His ability to consistently sink contested mid-range jumpers sets him apart, earning comparisons to players from earlier eras where his shot was more common. DeMar's unique style makes him a rare offensive force in a league now centered around either attacking the rim or shooting from deep. Meanwhile, inside the paint, big men are thriving in ways we haven't seen in years.
These are different type of centers and power forwards. We're watching Giannis, we're watching Jokic, we're watching Embiid, especially when you look at Jokic and Embiid. These guys are bringing the ball up the floor. These guys are actually initiating your offensive times. These guys are showing you outside of the paint area their versatility and their skill set. So they're actually changing the game right before our very eyes, and we're not even really recognizing it.
Take the Joker, for example. The reigning MVP isn't just a dominant center. He's also an elite mid-range threat. Jokic embodies the perfect balance between classic big man power and advanced playmaking. Sure, he can drain the occasional three-pointer, but that's not what makes him special. What makes him truly dangerous is his ability to score from the post, score efficiently from the mid-range, and make incredible passes out of double teams. In 2023-24, Jokic put up impressive stats. 26.4 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 9 assists per game, while converting 54% of his two-point attempts. That's why the Denver Nuggets built their entire offense around him, and his versatility is what made them NBA champions. Joel Embiid offers another example of how modern big men are reshaping the game. Standing 7 feet tall and weighing 280 pounds, Embiid has shown that dominating in the paint and from the mid-range is often more effective than relying heavily on the three-point shot. Although capable from deep, he makes his mark bullying defenders inside with a mix of size, strength, and finesse. His footwork and post moves are reminiscent of the greats from decades past, all while adjusting seamlessly to today's. Embiid's inside presence has made the Philadelphia 76ers a constant threat in the playoff race, and his all-around excellence earned him MVP honors, proving that even in today's game, a dominant big man can still elevate a team to championship contention. It seems the game's changing once again. Teams are now recognizing the value of players who can dominate in the mid-range or the paint, rather than relying solely on a roster packed with sharpshooters. This shift exposes a critical truth. Small ball is no longer the unstoppable force it once was. Sure, the Warriors perfected it, and for a while, teams like the Houston Rockets tried to push the limits by going all in on it. But the problem with this style of play is that it creates matchup challenges and simply lacks overall balance. Teams that live by the three often die by it, as we've seen in countless playoff series where shooting slumps can derail even the best players. On the flip side, teams that have embraced a more balanced approach, featuring skilled big men who dominate inside, have seen sustained success. The Denver Nuggets, for example, we've already highlighted how the Joker's versatility in scoring and orchestrating the offense from the center position powered them to their first title in 2023. The Lakers followed a similar formula in 2020, leveraging Anthony Davis to create mismatches and control the interior. Going further back, before the rise of the Warriors' small ball era, the 2013 Miami Heat and 2014 San Antonio Spurs still leaned heavy on contributions from traditional big men to secure their titles. Speaking of big men, let's take a moment to appreciate Nowitzki. In 1998, a rookie power forward from Germany revolutionized the roles expected from a big man in the NBA. Before his arrival, power forwards and centers were mostly limited to playing inside the paint, focusing on posting up, rebounding, and shot blocking. However, Dirk flipped the script by showcasing that a big could also shoot from beyond the arc, dominate the mid-range, and create chances like a guard. His signature one-legged fadeaway became one of the most unguardable moves in NBA history, adding finesse to a role traditionally relying on pure strength and power. While Dirk was not known for his rebounding or shot blocking, he became a pioneer in stretching the floor, making it common to see 7-footers shooting threes, a style rarely seen before his era. In many ways, Nowitzki was ahead of his time. His success as a shooting big man sparked a new trend in the league, with teams actively searching for the next Dirk. This evolution brought about more shooting from power forwards and centers. Surprisingly, the future may echo the past more than we anticipated. The prominence of elite scoring big men has reemerged, with figures like Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid consistently ranking among the top 5 players in the league. This shift mirrors the early 2000s, when dominant centers and power forwards were crucial for winning championships. Just take a look at the MVP winners over the last 6 seasons for proof. As we witness the rise of a new breed of power forwards and centers, we're treated to some of the most talented all-around big men the NBA has ever produced. The small ball movement has reshaped their roles, pushing the game towards a more perimeter-focused style. However, it's becoming clear that a balanced approach, featuring dominant big men who excel at rim protection, rebounding, playmaking, and efficient scoring, might be the key to achieving success in the league once again. So, what do you think? Are we on the verge of a revival for traditional big men, combining old-school fundamentals with modern skills, or will the 3-ball always have the final say? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.